Peter Fury, and don't forget to subscribe to Porky's Corner, because I've been a helmet of the month and you need to listen to me. Yeah? So follow him, yeah? And get the fella some followers up, for Christ's sake. He wears his heart on his sleeve, the good man Russ. So follow Porky's Corner, he says it as it is, and you know, I appreciate the helmet of the month, Russ. No problem.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, mate.
Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the voice of hardcore boxing. Today I'm joined by Terry. He's not been on for a couple of weeks. The trolls will have you believe that we've got some intense beef. What do you think, Terry?
Listen, Russ, what these guys don't understand, because they're not necessarily built like us. Like, you and I can argue about something, and a lot of times, like off camera, like we argue about a lot, but we're not going to fall out. Like, we just disagree. It's all right. You know, I don't take that stuff personally.
No, I don't take it personally. Some people do. Well, what's happened with you and Terry? Have you had a fallout? No, I'm just going to speak to him every day.
Yeah, no. We've gone too far to fall out over something as petty as boxing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Are you going to meet Finland with Rico next week?
Oh, mate, he might be prepared to defend the country from the Russians, man. they might have called him up.
Rico's ex-army, isn't he?
Yeah. They might have called him up. He might have got that secret phone call, Paul.
Rico, I'll send you some pot noodles, Rico, if you're out in them trenches.
He's going to come back like Jason Bourne.
All you need is some snow, Rico. Melt it and then put it into pot noodle.
Oh, mate. Yeah, no, mate. Hopefully he's just going to have a good break. You know, it's Easter and all of that, so...
Yeah. There's a lot going on in boxing. I want to talk about Triple G for a minute. Terry, is he finished him now, do you think? 40-year-old. He's not looking too good, is he?
Mate, I get slaughtered for my views on Golovkin. You know that. I get absolutely hosed whenever I speak about him. So here's what I'll say.
I know what you're going to say. Who's his best 3 wins?
No, not even that, Porky. He's in the middleweight division now where he's the #1 guy. But in the top 10, you have people like Chris Eubank Jr. and Michael Zarafa. So he's probably not finished the middleweight, right? Because even a 40-year-old Triple G could have a good few defenses against guys like that. And imagine him against Liam Williams, you know?
Oh, a bloodbath, wouldn't it? Be a slaughter.
But those are the kind of fights you have at middleweight. Now, here's Triple G's real problem, Russ. And I think I said this in my episode. He's going to have to fight Canelo at 168. They're not going to do it for the middleweight title because Canelo can't be bothered to cut weight. Now, if he goes up to 168 for Canelo, you now have to ask the question, why didn't you go up for Froch? Why didn't you go up for Ward? Why didn't you go up for De Gale? Why didn't you go up to 168 when you could have done it? You know, now you want to do it just for the money.
166 it was for Froch if we were going to step up. Now what lowest Carl we're going to come down to.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't do 166, but yeah, you can do 168 for Canelo, it means it's about money, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it means that, you know, he decided not to chase these opportunities. Because look at Canelo. Canelo's a small guy as well, right? And Canelo's going up and taking on guys like Bivol. He's done Kovalev. And he was talking about going up to cruiserweight. And so my question becomes, what's Triple G's excuse?
Yeah. Well, Triple G, if you go through his record, who would you say is his... What names jump out at you as wins?
None of them. What he was really good at was dealing with these 6 out of 10 fighters, right? Like Daniel Gill's a 6 out of 10 fighter.
Yeah.
Curtis Stevens is a 6 out of 10 fighter, but they all have names. They were well marketed. Macklin's a 6 out of 10 guy. Martin Murray is a 6 out of 10 guy. All of these guys were just really well marketed. But when you look at it in terms of like middleweights, I mean, they're not a William Joppy, are they? They're not a Jermaine Taylor.
Well, Jermaine Taylor's actually got 9 wins over world champions on his record. He's got a good record. He's got 2 over Hopkins, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
No,
and he was dealing with Froch easily till he ran out of gas. And I'm not even saying that to have a dig. He was dealing with Froch easily. I'd say he had a better run at Froch than Ward did.
Beat Jeff Lacey. Lacey's second defeat. He's got a good record, and he ended his career as the world champion.
Yes, and we don't have people at that level, Porky.
When he came back after 6 years, and after losing it, and won it, didn't he?
Yeah, he was there. Those kinds of fighters, you look at it and go, that's special. Be in that company, Golovkin. I mean, he should have been looking for guys like that. And at the time, they were all at 168. You know, you could have had good fights with DeGale and so forth.
Yeah, he could have fought Andre Ward, winner at Super 6, couldn't he? Do you remember?
He'd have been finished, man. There'd have been no more Golovkin after that.
Where do you see Golovkin going next? Because if he fights Canelo, he'd be like pushing 41 years of age and fighting a man 10 years younger than him, and he'd be a slaughter, I think, next time.
Mate, he'll fight Canelo. They'll find a way to make it controversial. He'll fight him again. It'll be one of those. It's just a money grab for him at the moment, isn't it? I wouldn't mind seeing him retire after this Canelo fight. I think he's one of these guys who he's not great as far as I'm concerned, but he'll always be loved by boxing fans because he always entertained.
Yeah, heavy-handed guy. He said about your mate, didn't he? George Groves inspiring up at Big Bear.
That was the rumor. That didn't happen at all.
No, it wasn't a rumor, mate. Broke his ribs, 2 of them.
Nah. People don't talk about Golovkin getting dropped by Groves' right uppercut, but okay, fine.
Do you know what I think best thing Golovkin can do now before he fights Canelo? I think he should do. Go to Adam Boone! Go to Adam Boone! The Dark Lord, he's the best. Should go to Adam Boone, shouldn't he?
Well, Adam's got nothing but time on his hands, right? Now that Colin's got to recover and all of that.
Yeah, you should go to Adam Boone, the Dark Lord. What do you think to Ben Davison winning British Boxing Board of Control's Trainer at year? Do you think it's well deserved, Terry?
No. I don't think he operates at that level that someone like a Joe Gallagher does. And Joe just seems to do it like he has these pockets where he's just on fire for about 4 years. And he's kind of hitting that patch now, isn't he, Joe?
Oh, well, he looks like he's going to have a good 18 months now, and he's set up, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Why aren't we rewarding guys like that? Why aren't we rewarding the guys who are genuinely creating top-level fighters? Ben's still, for me, and I've got to be careful because he's training a friend of mine, so I want to word this carefully. He's yet to convince me he can create a fighter, right? It seems that his job as a trainer is to copy and paste. So him and that little, whatever his name is, Lee Wiley, or what to say whatever his name is, Lee Wiley, whatever his real name is, they just sit there and they watch all of these guys, right, on the internet. This is what they do. They watch all these guys on the internet. They go, right, see that thing there? We're going to teach him this. We're going to teach him that. Cool. But what's the overall picture you're trying to get from a fighter? Who's he supposed to be as a fighter in his own right? And I don't think they're at the level where they can produce guys like that. You see, Russ, like you did your thing on Phil Martin as well, right? And guys like that had a vision on how their guys should box, right? Joe Gallagher knows how his guys should box. Now, you can say that it's not the most entertaining of styles, cool. But I tell you what, it works every time. Yeah? You're fit, you're strong, you master the basics. You got a long way with that. We need to see that with Ben Davison. Let's see him give us guys who are just good.
Sorry, go
on. And let's see what that vision is, because right now he's a guy who's just copying and pasting off the internet, and that's why he sounds as clever as he does. Let's see him now, like, right, your back's up against the wall. Porky's watching every move you make, so you best not slip.
Yeah, the best not, because if that ice breaks, I'll be underneath it when it cracks.
Dun, dun. Da-da.
You know, when I look at Joe Gallagher's body of work, which we speak about a lot on here, I think his greatest achievements has got to be Crawler and Quigg. That's what I think. Because you wouldn't have had Crawler down to win a world title, would you, at one point early in his career? But he just stuck with it, didn't they? They got there and didn't they? I think there's a lot to be said for that. You know, eventually getting there.
Yeah. But you could put names in there like Callum Smith. I think you could put in there.
What's happened to him, Callum Smith? Now he seems to have gone missing, doesn't he?
Too expensive for DAZN. Remember us, like, I think we said this before. Hearn had a stable full of guys, and Liam Smith's another one, that are too expensive to have on an undercard, but not box office enough to headline.
Yeah.
And so they've been caught in that trap. Joshua Barty was for ages when they wouldn't put him in with Richards. Now they put him in with Richards, he can headline. But it's going to be interesting to see what numbers this fight actually does.
Yeah, it's. What do you think Paul Reddy's role is in all that with Callum Smith and that? Because that was all a bit. 1 minute he's a matchmaker at Matchroom, next minute he's signing fighters. And where do you see him going with Callum Smith? Do you see him going nowhere?
What's Callum now? 31, 32? Maybe older than that.
30, might be now, yeah. Might be. He's like Billy Joe's age, isn't he? He might be a bit older than Billy Joe.
This is about 32. It's. I want to say it's done for him, but if you say he's going to campaign at light heavyweight, okay, who's he fighting at light heavyweight? It seems all the dance partners are sorted, right? So Canelo's going to fight Bivol. That's one belt taken care of. Beterbiev's waiting to try and get that WBO either of Joe Smith or whoever Joe Smith decides to fight. I think Callum Smith's next in line for that one anyway. So there's all of these guys who are tied up. And so Callum Smith's like, well, who am I meant to fight? Maybe he could fight, what's his name? Gilberto Ramirez. That's a hard fight for him.
Yeah. That is a. Listen, there's some big fights out there for Callum Smith, but it looks like they wanted to pick and choose who they're fighting because nobody's queuing up to fight Beef, are they?
No, but look at what's happened, right? Once he left Joe Gallagher, he kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Mm.
And he hasn't got that whole thing of being one of the Smith brothers anymore because it's just him and Liam left. And you know Liam's on his way out.
You know, all the two have gone, haven't they? Stephen and
Paul.
Paul, yeah. I've seen Paul on social media, but actually sent me a picture of him. He looks like Jim Royal now. Have you seen him?
Yeah, he's big.
Fat as a pig, Michelin man. With big beard on him. Peter Sutcliffe beard. Big old Peter Sutcliffe beard on him. What's that? What's happened to you, Smigger Smeg? He used to get some stick, didn't he, Smigger Smeg on Twitter when we were all ruthless. Back in the day. He always used to have something to say though on Twitter, didn't he, Smigger Smeg?
Yeah, but he was prolific in the blocking, wasn't he? You just got blocked immediately.
I once sent him a good luck message when Andre Ward were fighting him. And he blocked me for saying good luck against Andre Ward. I hope you knock him out. He blocked me. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can. He knows who you are.
He must have been thinking I was taking liberties. He knew he was there just to collect his paycheck, didn't
he? and then lose part of it for being overweight and then get it back because Ward felt sorry for him.
What was he, 6 pound overweight or something? 8 pound overweight or something? What's all that about?
Yeah, it was something like 6 pounds over.
Do you know what I mean? It's not good. Let's move on then from Triple G and that sort of scenario. Let's talk about Dylan White, and is he going through this mind game scenario with Fury? Is it going to work out for him, do you think? Because I don't know. Is the fight going to happen?
Well, we'll know on Monday, right?
Yeah.
We'll know on Monday if this was all just a ruse to get under Fury's skin, but it's not going to get under Fury's skin. I genuinely think Fury could just have a conversation with himself and be happy. You know, I don't know what happened in team Dillian White. I don't know who said, well, if we just don't talk, if we don't engage with the media, that will teach them a lesson. And actually, it's had the reverse effect for us. If you think about it, it's made the fight more compelling. Dillian not talking has made the fight more compelling.
I think that as well.
Yeah, I think it's had the opposite effect.
It'd be like electricity at Wayne, won't it? Because we've not seen them together.
Yeah, exactly. Like when they see each other, we're going to see that for the first time. So that's going to be interesting. In terms of the fight, if the Fury that showed up in the second Wilder fight shows up, it's not going to be prissy, is it?
Depends what Fury shows up. If the Fury that fought John McDermott in the first fight turns up, he's in bother. If it's him who fought Otto Wallen, he's in bother. If it's him who fought Wilder the second time, White's in bother, isn't he?
Yeah, I would say this. Because remember when Dillian fought Marius Vac, and he seemed to struggle against someone who was taller than him. Like, just tactically, he didn't know what to do against someone who was taller. Because Dillian's used to, that kind of big, heavy left hook that he throws. But it's hard to throw that at someone who's taller than you. And he struggled against Vac. And, he's going to struggle with Fury. You're not going to be able to bully Fury. You're not going to out-jab Fury. You're not going to have better movement. And you've been dropped a few times from guys who aren't known punchers. So we'll see. And the only thing I don't want to hear at the end of this fight, if I'm being honest, is all of this, I may have lost, but I got paid. I don't want to hear anything like that, because the talk was that he would knock Fury out. That was the talk. And that's what we expect to see. Or he better come close to it.
Do you think Dillian White gets a lot of bad press? Obviously, I dig him out a lot, and I'm not the only one. Do you think he gets a lot of bad press, or do you think he's brought a lot on himself? With B sample going missing, knocking Joshua back at Wembley for 5.5 million, 90,000 people, 4 belts, heavyweight championship of the world, and obviously he's got 5 wins. He's been in with 5 over 40s in his last 10 fights. Do you feel that Dillian White brings a lot on himself?
Yes and no. So he's always going to have that abrasive edge to him. Like, that's just a Brixton thing, isn't it? You're going to always have that abrasive edge, which is fine. We're used to it now. But he seems to know how to act when it's time to do the business. So fair enough. In terms of the B sample, that will always kind of count against him, especially as he was digging Joshua out over doping. So that's always going to count against him in the same way it does Jarrell Miller. But the point I want to make about Dillian is this, Russ. I saw like 8 of his first 10 fights. I was a regular ticket buyer for Dillian. I mean, he's a good man. He still is at his core. He's a lovely guy. And I remember back in, it would be like 08, 09, when it was him, Ian Lewison, and Dominic Akinladi. And Dom and Ian were so far ahead of Dillian that you thought, honestly, the chat in the gym was, if Dillian can get an area level title, he'd have had a good career. Honestly, if Dillian White could get an Southern area heavyweight title, he's done well. So to go from that to where he is now, he's massively overachieved. Russ, he's massively overachieved.
Not for European, has he?
No. He's massively overachieved. If you look at the fights he's had, if you look at the money he's made, that's a guy who everyone thought would be area level at best, right? And if you contrast that with someone like a Nick Webb, where people just said this guy's a real deal. Or if you contrast him with Joshua, who was the golden boy, and now you're talking about Dillian being competitive against Anthony Joshua, he's massively overachieved. You can rip his record apart and say Povetkin's this, Povetkin's that, and I'm not against that necessarily. But he fought a fresh Parker. He fought a fresh Oscar Rivas. However you think of them, you think of them, but they're kind of his peers. And they shouldn't be, because they're all more experienced. They're all international amateurs. they've all kind of been put on that golden path that Dillian wasn't. So I think Dillian's massively overachieved, and we should give him that. We may not like a lot of the stuff that's gone on, fair enough, but he has massively overachieved because he was never meant to be there.
He's strong-willed, isn't he, Dylan, isn't he? Strong-willed.
Strong-willed, and he figures out things quickly. So if you think about this, he lost to Joshua, and he said, oh, I'm doing this all wrong. So he left Miguel's and set himself up in Loughborough, if you remember.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And if you look at it since, he's taken camp seriously. After Joshua, he's taken every camp seriously. And he spent the money.
Yeah, he has. He's invested in himself, you know. I've heard back. He's paid a lot of money out.
Yeah. And then the other thing I like about him is he's brought through guys like Babbage. He's brought through guys like Yusuf Kamari. He's bringing through a Fabio Wardley. He's bringing through guys as well. So there's a legacy there. So it shows he gives back. And if you look at his team, a lot of those guys that are around Dillian were with him right at the beginning. So there's a lot to like about Dillian. There's also a lot to get frustrated about. So that's why I say there's a bit of yes or no in the answer.
Do you feel that Dillian just don't really trust anybody in boxing?
I think he's seen enough of the game to realize you just got to do what's best for you. You can care about the fans to an extent, but you got to do what's best for you.
Where do you see the fight being won for either fighter?
This will be won and lost on the jab. If Fury gets his jab going, it's another Chisora 2, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. How are we going to see Fury get beat? How's he going to get beat? Is he going to be beat? Is he going to beat himself in the end? Do you think?
The way you beat someone like Fury is you've got to get inside that jab. And the problem with Fury is a bit like the kid Fundora from Saturday. If you get inside the jab, Fury's not bad on the inside. He's not great, but he's not bad to the point where you even have an advantage there. But that's the only way you're going to do it. Literally, shoot in off that jab, get right in close on him, and then where you can just detonate a left hook on him. Bam, bam. See, eventually you'll catch him. But it's easier said than done.
Yeah, isn't it? It's what do you think to the undercard, Terry?
Man, I only know Isaac Lowe being on there. I'm sure there's some Frank Warren guys. Let me think. They've got Adelaide on there, who you love. Who else? You do.
Anthony Kakaise.
I don't care about him. They've got the kid at Talma on there, which will be a good platform for him because I think he could be one of the guys to do something in this pro game.
Tommy Fury.
Oh God.
Hoping to get some Love Island pay-per-views.
I don't even think they care. Like, you know what Love Island's like, Porky? They just move on. It's us in the boxing world that still talk about him and Love Island. Like, the youngsters, they don't care. They've moved on.
I don't think Tommy's being advised right because some of the opponents have seen him in with shockers, although I did get something wrong over there. So Tommy's in with somebody with a losing record. I was reading, I got some numbers mixed up. He's actually fighting a kid 10-1. So Tommy, I apologise, but he still can't fight anyway. But do you think all these gimmicks like Tommy and, you know, your Campbell Stone, Hands of Stone Hatton, you think people like that shouldn't really be boxing because they're from money? Or do you think that they're doing it because they want to win something?
So the Tommy thing and the Campbell thing is slightly different, right? Because at least with Campbell, he did his time in the amateurs. He did some time, I should say, right? Was he great in the amateurs? No, but at least he put some work in.
It was 20, wasn't it? 20 wins, 20 losses.
Which?
Campbell Hatton in amateurs, 20 wasn't he?
Yeah, that's 40 fights. That for me, that's enough. Like, okay, 40 fights is enough. If you can do it in the pros, go ahead and do it. I don't think we're going to find that record with Tommy in the amateurs, are we?
10-0, they're saying, aren't they? His dad,
right?
Yeah. But his dad's 100. His dad's 100-0, isn't he? No. And I'm willing to prove it for free or for money in the ring or on the hard road. Pop, pop, bang, and off. We can rinse John Fury because he just never wants to come and knock on your door and fill you in, does he? Now that he's a big superstar.
Man, but back to what we're saying about the undercard.
Let me just say this before you move on. Somebody told me something the other day that somebody went by John Fury and went, pop, pop, bang, and shouted it out the window. I want somebody to pull up and say it to his face. You just see John put his fist through the window, won't you? A big bear paw coming through the window. Bang, bang. Pop, pop, bang.
Yeah, but I'll say this, Russ. I'm tired of these pay-per-views delivering substandard undercards.
Oh.
I'm tired of this now.
Shocking,
and the board have to do something about this as well. This is where the board should be acting. The board. Yeah, but they should, Russ. The board should be saying, we've got a truly big event in the United Kingdom. This should be a showcase for the best of British boxing. This undercard is not it. I'd like to have seen a kid like Yusuf Kamari on there. And people say, what's he ever won? It's not the point. Yusuf Kamari will give you a war. Whoever you put him in with, he'll at least give you a war. All of these other fights, just they're a procession. Like no one's even going to watch them. No one's going to watch him.
People will just stagger into arena, won't they? About 9:30.
Yeah, this is the kind of fight. Once it's done, we'll be like, okay, at least that's out the way now. Pete, that's genuinely how I think people feel. At least that's out the way now.
But where Frank's got problems, in my opinion, is if Fury White's a stinker, we know undercard's a stinker. It puts boxing in a bad light, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking world record-breaking purses and all that, but yet, look at the undercard. And they're also saying, yeah, it's a world record-breaking purse. We're at Wembley, 94,000. We're the big dogs. But the moral of the story is the flip side to that coin is Tyson Fury and Dylan White both served a 2-year ban for cheating with drugs, performance-enhancing drugs. So that's the bottom line. I don't see anybody talking about things like that, do you?
No, and it's disappointing because that's what we should be talking about.
Drug testing. Who's had the drug test? Why are you not putting up your invoices to say you've been tested at your home and at 4 a.m. and let's see all that. There's none of that getting put out. Is there even drug testing for this fight?
And it comes back to the wider point in boxing, Russ, that I think the drug use is rife. I'd be more surprised if someone was clean than they were dirty, to be honest with you. I just think it's rife now. And a lot of these people, male and female, have cottoned on to how to do it. They've just learned. And they're so far ahead of where UCAD are, and they're so far ahead of where British boxing are as a governing body, that I don't even think you put this genie back in the bottle, mate.
Pop, pop, bang! On the floor. End of. Give me them belts back where you stole them, you bum. And that's it.